I wasn't at the inner sanctum. I was never at the inner sanctum, I tell you. That much I'm sure of, even with the fuzzy memory. Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place. Boy, you lawyers sure are scary.
I guess it might have been impossible for him to get to the inner sanctum like he claims, but...
Now will you desist in trying to frame this innocent witness?
Yeah, I'd like to see you explain how we got up there.
Mr. Wright, is it not time to end these cross-examinations?
A moment of desperation leads to 100 million years of torment. It means that for each moment, a sinner spends struggling to deny their sins. 100 million years of torment are added to their time in hell.
Platonism is the strictest religion ever.
And just so you know, you've already accrued 200 million extra years.
Plus the 500 million years they started with, that's 700 million years. Yep, 700 million years of torment. Sure, plus another 200 million, give or take. Well, it's a big deal to me. I need those millions of years to watch my animes. I can't keep saying the witness was there at the inner sanctum if I can't prove it. The problem is, how am I going to do that? Well, we do it by pressing.
I was never at the inner sanctum, I tell you.
Hold it. Looking a little nervous. Are you sure you weren't there?
All I'm sure of is that you're deeply skeptical. Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, are all lawyers always like this?
Most certainly. They always try to pin crimes on innocent witnesses without any proof whatsoever. They are no better than bacteria or viruses.
Yikes.
Yikes, you mean he's contagious? Oh, jeez. He's gonna give me lawyeritis.
Okay, this is getting ridiculous.
Phew, that was a close one. He almost put me there at the scene of the crime when I wasn't even there, and only have these lizards to console myself. That much I'm sure of, even with the fuzzy memory.
Yeah? You just said your memory was fuzzy.
I sure did. What's the big deal? I don't know. Don't remember.
I'll tell you what. Your testimony isn't very credible if your memory of the events is fuzzy.
No worries there. My memory may be fuzzy, but I'm very clear on one thing.
Here we go again.
If you ask me whether or not I remember what I did that night, I'd say I do. In short, you are confident that your testimony is true. Is that correct, Mr. Ihmus? Exactly. Guess you don't get to be a judge for nothing. So in closing, I can clearly say that I was totally not there. Besides, it would have been impossible to get there in the first place.
Wait, let's press that. Huh. I wonder if it really was impossible for you to get to the inner sanctum.
If you have something to say, just say it.
Couldn't there have been another way to get there? A way that wouldn't attract attention?
No, there isn't.
Which means there is.
Perhaps the defense would share its theory with us.
I don't even have a wild guess, let alone a theory, though. I do. Kinda. I think it's the parachute. Time to reach into my bag of bluffs. Okay. to reach the inner sanctum without attracting any attention, he fell from the sky. Maybe you fell from the sky?
The lawyer thinks he's a comedian now.
I was wondering what crazy theory you would propose next. Well, defense, let's hear it.
Mr. Ihmus could have, parachuted down. We already know the weather was clear, and there was no wind to speak of. Perfect weather for skydiving, I'd say.
Now that you have been backed into a corner, your delusions grow ever more delusional. The inner sanctum is on a tiny ledge upon a sheer cliff over 2,000 meters tall. One misstep and a skydiver would soon find themselves in the twilight realm.
Hey, I don't care how still the wind was. Even I couldn't have made that jump.
Wait, what's this building on top of the sacred mountain? The one we've talked about over and over again? How do they even get to the prison? There aren't any stairs around the top. How do they do that?
That is Royal Penitentiary number 4.
Oh, right. Princess Rafa mentioned there was a prison up there. How do you get your prisoners up there anyway?
By helicopter, but only with authorization from the Minister of Justice. He is the only one who can approve flights that pass over the inner sanctum.
Okay, helicopters.
Might I also add, defense, that no parachute or any other equipment...
No. Yes, they have.
Are you saying I flew down there by flapping my arms? I may be an incredible dude, but even I'm not capable of that.
Well, please add that statement to your testimony, Mr. Ihmus, so I can slam it in your face!
It's not like I can fly through the air either.
Press? You wouldn't need to flap your arms if you had some gear.
As I have already stated, nothing of the sort was found in or around the scene of the crime.
Har, 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 har.
You're wrong, son.
I'd sure like to see some of that so-called gear you're talking about.
I know. But was there really nothing like that at the inner sanctum? What if there was something that could have been used as a parachute? I should give the evidence another looky-loo.
You continue to claim that the witness was at the inner sanctum. Yet said claim shall remain but a claim, without any supporting evidence, Mr. Wright.
Yes, I realize that, Your Majesty. If I can't find any inconsistencies, I guess I can always try to elicit some more testimony. Alright, we know it's the parachute, but I'm gonna press this "boy, you lawyers sure are scary" thing, and then we'll slam him with it. Now hold on, lawyers aren't scary. I'm not scary at all, just because I've got hair that could kill a man.
But you're saying I was at the inner sanctum when I wasn't. Anyone who tried to frame an innocent man like that is scary in my book.
Lawyers are scary! Lawyers are scary! It's a setup! It's definitely a setup!
I'm not trying to set anyone up! I'm gonna provide evidence and explain exactly how it was done.
The gallery speaks true. They know the depth of a lawyer's sin and the poverty of his virtue.
There may be some bad apples, but we're not all like that, you know. Don't worry, Nick. I'll still root for you, no matter how morally bankrupt you become. Thanks a bunch, Maya. Thanks! Mr. Ihmus wasn't at the inner sanctum, more precisely, couldn't get there. Huh? I don't see a way out of this. Yeah, these kinds of debates only get worse if you argue them the wrong way. I'll have to pry some conclusive testimony out of him and then present some evidence. Like when you're trying to catch frogs from a pond. Once you got a grip on one, you better hold on tight. Right, something like that. Alright. Inner sanctum, not like I could fly through the air either, but you could if you had one of these sanctum prayer flags found outside the ritual curtain. They have been sewn together into a long banner. Objection! Did you guys find that? Mr. Ihmus is right. He couldn't have skydived down there without any gear.
Well now, finally come around, have you? Now you see that I couldn't have possibly been there at the inner sanctum.
Right. If you didn't have any gear, that is.
What on earth are you talking about?
That overreaction is a dead giveaway that I'm on the right track. Take a look at this piece of evidence.
Those are prayer flags, are they not?
Yeah, but they've been sewn together to create one big banner. A banner that can also function like a parachute. Pulkanka! The people of Kurain are so used to seeing prayer flags that the police didn't even think twice about these flags during their investigation. No, this cannot be. The witness landed at the inner sanctum by using these prayer flags as a parachute. Is that not right, Mr. Ihmus?
There's no way out. I'm surrounded.
Mr. Ihmus?
All this talk's jogged my memory. I guess I was there at the inner sanctum after all.
And you got there by parachuting? That's not suspicious. As I suspected, there were 3 people there that night. You did it, Nick. You were wrong after all. Thanks. Mr. Ihmus, you were the one disguised as Lady Kira that night, weren't you?
Whoa, no how, no way, no how. It's like this. Oh yeah. I was only there at the inner sanctum by accident.
By accident? That might be true.
Exactly. And that thing's not a parachute, it's a homemade paraglider.
A paraglider? No. You can't paraglide up. Are you telling me you could fly using that patchwork mess of material?
It may not look like much, but it's as sturdy as can be.
I mean, if you had an updraft, you could, but there wasn't any wind, so you couldn't have.
I rode the wind like an eagle, going higher and higher from my earthly launching point. But then something happened that forced me to land at the inner sanctum.
So you just happened to land there? You expect me to believe that?
No. Please calm yourself, Mr. Wright. However, the fact that the witness was at the inner sanctum is crucial testimony indeed, and it certainly warrants further explication. Therefore, let's continue with more testimony.
Okay. We're just gonna keep trusting him and just keep moving those goalposts back until he's got nowhere left to plant them. Why, I was at the inner sanctum.
That evening, I was doing a trek through the night sky with my homemade paraglider. But just as Pony was drawing near, something terrible happened. An accident forced me to make an emergency landing at the inner sanctum. As I landed, I banged my head, causing me to lose my memory. So you see, I ended up at the inner sanctum purely by accident.
Mr. Ihmus, you failed to mention any of this during your pre-trial questioning.
Can't be helped. I mean, I'm just remembering it now.
Continue such slipshod testimony, and you will be cast into the hell of hangnails. Yes, your nails will be just so ugly and gross all the time for the rest of your afterlife. While you shall have hangnails grown and ripped out for 800 million years.
These punishments are...
I think I'll pass on that. That sounds mildly irritating.
Looks like that caught Prosecutor somebody off guard. This is my chance to rip his case to shreds. why I was at the inner sanctum.
That evening, I was enjoying a trek through the night sky with my homemade paraglider.
From where? To where? You were enjoying a trek through the night sky with your homemade paraglider on the night where everybody's supposed to be praying. You didn't go to pray? Although I guess if I was on a paraglider, I would probably be praying quite a bit because it's so scary.
A devout Ihmus like me can pray anywhere, even while flying through the sky. But I wouldn't recommend you try it. You're bound to end up dead. Har 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 har.
A paraglider? I didn't see anything like that.
That's cause of the ritual curtain. It blocked your view. You should have seen me majestically soaring through the mountains.
Really? What do you think, Nick? Don't ask me. I think it's a bunch of crap.
Har har har. I was really enjoying that flight. At first, anyway. But just as Mount Pony Pony was drawing near, something terrible happened.
Something terrible happened?
Exactly. And when I say terrible, I mean terrible.
What? Was there something unexpected near Mount Pony Pony?
What was it again?
Wait, you don't remember?
Let's just say it was terrible. An accident forced me to make an emergency landing at the inner sanctum.
What exactly was this accident you had?
Good question. Now, what was it again? Wind? Oh yeah, it was the wind.
No.
And not just any wind, but a sudden gale force wind made me lose control.
Garbage. The wind was strong enough to make you lose control?
You got that right.
Okay then, please add that to your testimony.
Gale force winds came out of nowhere, so I made an emergency landing at the sanctum.
No. Had the wind been blowing the whole time around the mountains?
Yep, just the right amount of wind for paragliding. So that sudden gale force wind was a real shocker.
I see, so a decent wind had been blowing until then.
Right, yeah. A paraglider's not much use without a decent wind.
Funny that. Very funny that.
As I landed, I banged my head, causing me to lose my memory. Oucha, oucha, oucha.
Where at the inner sanctum did you land?
That's easy. Where the paraglider ended up.
I guess that makes sense. So outside the ritual curtain, on the side where the moonlight shadows were cast.
But right as I landed, I hit my head on a rock. I lost both my consciousness and my memory. Har, 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 har.
Something's seriously wrong with this guy.
So you see, I ended up at the inner sanctum purely by accident.
You're lucky to be alive after an accident like that.
Yeah, I'm just a lucky kind of guy. It's time like these that separate the men from the boys.
Wow, I'd say you were incredibly lucky. Almost miraculously so.
If you got something to say, just say it.
Alright, Mr. Ihmus. It wasn't an accident, was it? You landed at the inner sanctum on purpose.
What the? No, it was an accident, I'm telling you. You don't even have any proof, so stop making things up about me.
His testimony is like a moving target. Okay, Nick. Time for some evidence. You know, really grab him by the scruff of the neck. One thing at a time, Maya. First, I have to find an inconsistency. But where there is constantly changing testimony, there are bound to be discrepancies in other issues. Alright, it's the wind that we made him add. Gale force winds, eh? But according to the weather, I think we present the newspaper that has the weather reports. Yeah. We have a saying in my country, Mr. Ihmus. One lie begets another.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean?
It means someone caught lying will lie again in an attempt to conceal their first lie. In other words, this current testimony is just a blatant lie you're telling to cover your tracks.
What did you just say?
You claimed gale force winds caused you to lose control, but this newspaper has the weather report for the day of the murder. It says, the area around the inner sanctum will enjoy calm, clear skies today.
Whoa, conga! Why, I do believe it does say that.
One lie begets another. That makes sense, but is it really a saying back home? I've never heard of it. Yeah, no, I kind of made that part up, but for real? You made a lie about telling lies? Your Majesty! The witness's testimony contains another flaw, one that's even more fatal to his cause.
More fatal, you say? The defense will explain himself at once.
Mr. Ihmus claims he was flying up around the inner sanctum with his paraglider, but it would have been impossible to get all the way up there without any wind.
Why, yes, I believe you're right. But we know the witness was at the inner sanctum, so... Mr. Ihmus, how did you get there and from where?
Without any wind, he couldn't have flown up there from the bottom of the mountain. By a process of elimination, couldn't have come from down, couldn't have come from the side, you must have come from the uppity up. The only starting point that makes any sense is, Your Majesty, I believe I have the answer to your question. To reach the inner sanctum, Mr. Ihmus must have launched himself from here, the tippity top of the old scary prison.
Hoo-ah! Are you insane? That's where he came from?
If he couldn't have come from below, the only other option is from above. So you see, Anonymous came down from Royal Penitentiary number 4. From there, he could have easily reached the inner sanctum by parachute. And that means he might have also killed the high priest.
What?
Mr. Ihmus, were you the third party at the inner sanctum? And the one behind the warning to halt the right the victim received? Was it you we saw in his final memory? Are you the rebel hunter, Lady Kira? And why do you keep posing like that?
Hey, Mr. Prosecutor, sir, help me out here.
You did it! You finally left him speechless.
Oh, come on, Mr. Prosecutor, man.
Quiet, you fool. You should use this time to prepare yourself for what is to come. For a fate far worse than hangnail hell awaits you now.
Huh?
Well done, defense. I must concede this point to you. The witness did, in fact, descend to the inner sanctum from Royal Penitentiary number 4.
Huh? He didn't put up a fight this time. That's awfully generous of him.
But if you are as perceptive as you seem, then surely you've already figured out the riddle. The riddle of Anonymous's true identity.